Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday stream of Gen X News. Oh, the volume on my cell phone was up, and the stream is open just in case I have to talk to anybody on X. My X is open on my phone. Everybody, welcome to the show. I have been on a hiatus from YouTube for a while. We did that stream on the Grey Wolf, Hitler, and yeah, just in future we won't be doing those kind of stream, like a docu-stream, not on YouTube. We'll be doing that kind of stuff on Rumble and X. So if I'm gonna do something like that, I'll probably just give you heads up on YouTube. I certainly recommend you watch on Rumble, but I know that a lot of you like YouTube, and I totally understand that. But Rumble is at genxonx.com. Just in case you want to know. But we will still be on YouTube. There just might be some things that we can't put on YouTube so I don't get strikes. I just got a strike. I've had that channel for like 10 years and I've never had a strike, and I got struck down. So I couldn't even do like a post and say, "Hey guys, I'm not going to be on here. Come over to Rumble. I won't be on here till after Friday." I couldn't even do that. I couldn't even communicate any which way with you guys on YouTube. So it's kind of annoying. I apologize. Yeah, spanking ensued. I got spanked by YouTube. And, a lot of people that comment in here are on YouTube. There's a lot of dialogue. So it's why I like to have that open. I'm not monetizing YouTube at all. I'm just not doing it. There's only so many. I have 1,900 subscribers on YouTube, which is not very many in the big picture of things, but it's better than no subscribers. I also would like to thank everybody on Rumble. We've gone over 400 subscribers on Rumble. Thank you guys so much. Pop that thumbs up bell. It's not a bell. It's a thumbs up button, Melissa. Good Lord. See, it's my birthday today. This is the birthday stream. I'm 48 and I don't know a bell from a button. That's what happens when you're 48. But I want to thank everybody for following me on Rumble. Rumble's got a few glitches, but it's good, and I get a lot more views on Rumble. So be sure to thumbs up whether you're on YouTube or Rumble. If you are on X, I appreciate you sharing the content, tapping that heart, saving it to your bookmarks, leaving a comment. We got a bunch of topics today. I'm going to probably touch just really quickly on the Pope. He seems to be doing okay. He's still alive. I'm surprised. Good Lord. We also have, I want to talk about the Douglas Murray, Dave Smith thing just quickly. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but we're going to go into a lot of health, wealth, Amish stuff. We are living in a time of chronic disease. I always say we used to live in a time of infectious disease, and we seem to have solved that issue. For the most part, we kind of know how to deal with infectious disease, but now we're in the pandemic of chronic disease. And there's some answers for that. And nothing's ever perfect. When we're aging, we're going to age. But now we seem to, not our society, our structures, our institutions seem to be lying to us about why we have so much chronic disease. They're acting like it's normal. It's normal. I'm having my glass of wine for my birthday. I don't really drink very much wine. I used to drink more when I was younger. I can't tolerate it anymore. It's true what they say when you get older, you can't tolerate the wine. It's true. But here, happy birthday to me. 48 years ago, 5:24 a.m. Eastern time, I showed up in the world and was like, all right, mofos. I was very tiny. I had to stay in the hospital for over 3 weeks. I was like, they thought I was preemie, but not really. My lungs were developed. I had to stay in an incubator in the 70s. And I turned out to be like the toughest little cow. Right? And so I was in the hospital for a while. And I was like 3 pounds or something like that. Yeah. And I was tiny all throughout my childhood. Like I was tiny. And then I hit like 13 to 16 years of age. And I shot up from like 5 feet to 5'8", like out of nowhere. It just exploded. So I didn't stay tiny forever. But I was like this teeny tiny preemie thing. is weird. And I was born on the East Coast in Canada, in a city that's one of the oldest incorporated cities in Canada, St. John, New Brunswick, just above the great state of Maine in the United States of America. Speaking of Canada, before we get into all the stories, this Thursday, I think we're starting 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I am live streaming the Canadian debates. They're having one debate on Wednesday en français, and they're having one debate on Thursday in English. So we will be doing the English debate. I will be streaming it. I think it'll be fine on YouTube. Let's see what those crazy Canadians have to say. Oh, it's a cluster, FUCK, in Canada. I'll tell you that. I think the world's a cluster, which is why we got to talk about health and being independent. I'm not sure how realistic it is for everybody to do, but we're going to talk about the Amish and why they're so healthy. But before we get there, let's talk about, we got Sean, Jer, Incognito in the room. Thank you guys for showing up on YouTube. I really appreciate you. We got some people over. Enigma says happy birthday over on Rumble. Thank you so much, Enigma. Thank you very much. Got a happy birthday from Incognito. Got a happy birthday from Sean. Apparently, me and Sean are the same age. We are the same age. Hey, I can say I'm tired a lot, but I'm a woman and, transitioning from perimenopause crap. I think that's why I'm tired, because I used to be a go, 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 go. It happens. But today, wonderful day. I dropped my husband off. He had to go out to his job. And then I took my dog to Salt Lake City, to the Capitol building. There's this memorial type of park there down below. And we went for a big hike in the little forest there. The only problem is there's so many people there and there's so many dogs. And my dog, Petey, just gets so crazy and excited when he sees the other dogs. That was kind of annoying. But then we had this cute little boy come up to us and, can I pet your dog? And he had this camera. He had this little digital camera that his parents had, the little kitty one. And he's like, he was like taking pictures and treating Petey like he was like a dog model or something. And so he was like, can I take pictures of your dog? And I'm like, sure. So Petey was a little bit famous today. He had his pictures taken in the park by the Capitol building by a little boy who really liked him. It was super cute. So he had fun. And then he slept all the way on the ride home because we did a good hike. I work those dogs. I used to take our other dog too, but he's gone on the truck with my husband. I've taken him before and totally exhausted him. It's a nice area. Not all Capitol building areas are made equally. I'm becoming aware. Some people say their Capitol building area isn't nice. Salt Lake City is pretty nice. No one's going to shank you like they would if you were like in Washington, D.C. or something. I'm hearing stuff about D.C. that's like, hey, stranger danger, stranger danger. So we won't be hanging out there anytime too soon. In fact, we're going to be talking about homesteading and Amish stuff. And I am now more than ever relating to the Amish, going, yeah, I know why. I know why they're doing what they're doing. I know why they don't trust things. But before we go to the Amish, let's get to the Pope. It's really quick. The guy is still kicking. Pope is still kicking. Sorry, the YouTube just went in my ear. I clicked on the wrong screen. And Jer says debates en français is gay. C'est gay. Yeah. Look, if I knew French, it would be okay. And if I had a French audience, I suppose it would be good. But I don't, so we won't be watching them en français. No, 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 no. Do you know in Quebec they don't call police, like, how we say cops are pigs, which is really rude. They call them chickens. Poulet, poulet. That's what they call them. That's what I was told by someone from Quebec. So Pope Francis was active today. He did the Greets the Pilgrims on Palm Sunday in St. Peter's Square. It is Palm Sunday. And next weekend is Easter for us Christians out there who celebrate. Most of us are so commercialized. That's the problem with Christianity, is it's become a commercial thing rather than a religious thing. But honestly, the Pope, he's just there. Look at the poor guy. He's had pneumonia and very sick. He almost died. He thought it was the end for him. He's I rebounded back, but I don't think he looks good. I don't think he has too long. And I know you're not supposed to say stuff like this, but he's doing his duties. He's out there, showing up as a figurehead. I highly doubt he's ever running things. I highly doubt he ever was running things, but he's definitely not now. He is last Sunday, he was at the Jubilee of the Sick and the World of Healthcare and his visits to St. Peter Basilica. Remember the Basilica where there's only one, like they have all these pictures of the popes in the Basilica and there's only one pope left? I don't know. Maybe they have a solution for that. That's why we were talking about the Pope prophecy in one of my podcasts. You can check it out. Well, he was there doing basically his rituals and showing up for everybody. There's the faithful in St. Peter's Square. There he is on Palm Sunday. Yeah. So he's doing some duties. He's wheelchair bound. He is not well. Let's just be honest, at this stage of the game, anything could happen. We will see. We will see what happens to the Pope. I don't know. Oh my goodness. So that's the Pope. Now, let's get into the goods, the real goods here. Whenever there is any updates on the Pope, I will let you know. I will be the first to let you guys know. Let's have a drink here for the Pope. Is there a wine ritual? No, that's like you drink the blood of Christ, right? It's not, but this is a whole lot of blood of Christ, if that's the case. I'm not having a sip, I'm having a glass. It's my birthday, and I can have a glass of wine if I want to, right? Okay, so the Pope, yeah, it's not looking so good. He's not in a good shape. Really, somebody else should probably step in, but maybe that's not part of the end of the days plan. End of the days, end of the world, end of days. I've got a video here to play for you guys in a minute. We're going to get into this. Many of you may have watched the whole crazy ass fiasco that happened on the Joe Rogan show. Now, I don't watch Joe Rogan regularly. I might tune into some stuff that interests me with a guest, but not often enough. Joe Rogan has a fascinating podcast. He's one of the top podcasters in the world. He's been doing this for a long time. If you look way back when he started podcasting, it was a pretty, rough setup that nobody knew what podcasting even was. Back in 2005, 2006, I believe my first podcast I listened to was one called Jim Harold's. It was like a paranormal one. And he was just getting into this podcasting world, figuring out how you could make money with it. Right? So now podcasts have become the thing. Like there's a lot of people interacting with them. And you can bet your bottom dollar that the system that we have of mainstream media and control and war and governments and the big evils are infiltrating the podcast world. It is no longer clean. It's not alternative anymore. It's becoming fully mainstream, and they're inserting their mainstream guests on all the top podcast shows that they want. It wouldn't surprise me if they try to take down podcast shows and do the same, like something like they did to radio, control the narrative in podcasts, and pretty soon they'll start laws where none of us can podcast freely. Like I won't be able to do this show. It wouldn't surprise me because it's a form of information. And in my opinion, that is what this whole thing with Douglas Murray was all about, is inserting a guest into this to try to shift certain narratives, control things, also out who they perceive as a threat to Israel, a threat to whatever. And I'll be honest, the whole contention about Douglas Murray, he's a writer, he's an author, he's got an English degree, he's not a historian by any marks, from what I know from his credentials, he doesn't have a degree in history, but he has a degree in English, and he's written a lot of books. He says he knows a lot about the West, and studying, basically sociological issues and war in Iran, et cetera, et cetera. He considers himself an expert. So he was really on this Joe Rogan show to chastise Joe Rogan about having basically what he would see as a non-expert, a quack, anti-Semites or whatever on his show, rewriting history. That's what his claim was. And you would think that if this is truly what he believes, that they're rewriting history, that he would have some facts to present. But that is just not what went down. He was kind of counter arguing and debating Dave Smith, who is Jewish as well. Douglas Murray is Jewish. He's gay, he's Jewish, he's married to a man. By no stretch of the means is he conservative or traditional, although you'll get mega people who like him. He's not conservative, he's not traditional. He's just not. Dave Smith, he's a comedian, and he likes history. He likes talking about politics and geopolitics. He's done it for a long time. But apparently, because he doesn't have degrees, he's not a professional, according to Murray, and he should be basically shut the fuck up. But then yet Murray says, oh no, he's allowed to talk to it. But he's not an expert. We need more experts. Like, it was just a big word salad of contradictory. And a lot of people didn't like his smug bullshit, but I still get people babbling on my posts about how amazing Douglas Murray was, and he just wasn't amazing. And I'm going to play you a clip. I'm also going to play you another clip, because his whole contention really was, if anyone got him in a corner, which they did plenty of times, but the people who kiss his butt won't recognize that he was pushed into corners. They literally think there's this thing they think, because I think they're manipulated by the British accent. He's schooled at Eton, got his degree at Cambridge, la di da di da di da, Oh, he's got that sort of BBC accent. And he really showed up on this show. I don't know. He looked rough to me. He looked like he either jet lagged, was hungover, or was just a prick and an asshole. He just had this bad vibe. And, you get more flies with honey than vinegar. Isn't that the thing? And he just wasn't getting fly. He was full of vinegar. Let's just put it that way. Okay, my clip didn't even upload. We will upload it. I'm going to upload it right now. I've got another clip though of a guy talking about him, but he was just full of just a smarmy, pretentious, I'm better than you, that we know we've learned during COVID what the experts mean. Yeah. Incognito says, we've had enough of the so-called experts. Look, the experts are there to protect the elite class. This is how it goes. They create all these experts, put them out, and people fall for it over and over and over again, just like MAGA falls for the war in Israel. They laugh at the people and they criticize the war over in Ukraine, but they fall for the same shtick over in Israel. They fall for all the same propaganda. You just can't make this shit up. You really can't make this stuff up. It is like, go trust the experts, not just trust the expert, but we need more of the experts. You and me, we are too fucking stupid. We can't talk about history, even though I took history classes. The other thing he basically said more towards the second half in the podcast is that, well, if you really haven't been there, you really can't talk to it. So because Dave Smith, who is Jewish, hadn't been to Israel, he shouldn't, he really, his opinion on it's null and void. That's what he's saying. Which is crazy, because look, all these elites and these government officials, they invite Douglas Murray to Israel. But they get the propaganda tour, just like the celebrities got the propaganda tour in Ukraine. Just like when everybody showed up to the Olympics in Germany, Hitler gave them the propaganda tour. All the anti-Semitic horrible stuff that he had out was put away. Just like how Gavin Newsom cleaned up San Francisco for Xi Jinping. Do you know what I mean? It's propaganda. They don't give a shit about the people, and then they just clear it up when they want to make an impression. So this guy can go back and write his ridiculous articles about war, and he had this horrible pretension, and I believe he says it in this video about war. He's very blasé about it, like, so it has to happen. Innocent people have to die. Well, do you notice it's not you, Douglas Murray, that has to die? You notice the elite's children don't have to die? It's all poor people. Poor people have to die. And that's the contention of this. Let's check out. I'm going to go over to my X and we will see. We had a couple of things to say on this. It just undoubtedly pisses me off to no level. Like I can never believe the level of. Oh yeah, this is the Amish thing, but we'll come back to that. Let's the one I want to show you is actually on my it's right here. We'll do that. But I would like to show you this clip first. And it's too bad system just isn't my system doesn't upload it. I've tried uploading it multiple times and my system's rejecting it. That's really strange. Okay, so we won't be showing that clip. Well, that sucks. That's why it wasn't here when I thought it was, because my system's saying nay. Let me see if I can. Yeah, no. Okay, so it's not going to go. We'll find some clips of things that Douglas Murray did say. Let's do this clip here, and he's going to basically explain it to you. He has an TikTok channel, and we'll pause this, back it up. It's a couple minutes. This guy is called Honest Appraisal, #1, and he tells you everything that's wrong. I got people arguing like, oh, they argue the most absurd and ridiculous stuff because you don't have to actually go to a location to know a lot about it. May it help? Sure, but you don't have to go somewhere. Douglas Murray's never been to Gaza. Yeah, he doesn't shut his mouth up about it. Okay? He's been, and there's really no way, who would want to go to Israel right now? There's no way to even go to Gaza. It's just crazy. Anyways, let's check this out here.
Hey, lovely people. If you've got the fortitude to sit through the Dave Smith-Douglas Murray debate on Joe Rogan's podcast, please bear this in mind. 1, Douglas Murray, the Goyim, is parroting his Zionist paymaster's narrative in furtherance of his career. The other, Dave Smith, is a Jew espousing an anti-Zionist narrative despite the impact on his career and standing within his own community. There is a world of difference between those two starting points. And please don't be fooled by Murray's disingenuous appeal to authority, because he thinks there's a major gotcha in asking Dave Smith whether he's ever been to Israel, as if time spent amongst the Zionist Israelis is somehow a qualification to comment on what they're doing to the Palestinians and what is going on in Gaza and the West Bank, even though, of course, like any other foreign journalist, Douglas Murray has not been into Gaza. We, on the other hand, and Dave Smith, of course, have seen countless hours of atrocities, bombing, destruction, and so on. But the main argument I want to make in respect of this, well, you haven't been there, so what do you know bullshit, is that I grew up in apartheid South Africa. And it was only on my first visit outside of South Africa to the UK, in my very late teens, that I found out the truth about my own country. Because white South Africans were shielded from the reality of apartheid, in the same way that Israelis are shielded from the horror of what their government and their army is doing on their behalf in Palestine. And like white South Africans are indoctrinated from birth to believe that all Palestinians, and in fact all Arabs, are just out there trying to kill them, and that unless they get their retaliation in first, their apartheid state would collapse. So Murray's argument is an entirely false one. You don't have to go somewhere to understand that what the people of that region are doing is just plain fucking evil.
There you go. You don't have to. And like he's explaining, like a lot of times when you go to these locations, it's all set up, trickery, propaganda. They hide, they cover, they clear it up. and they put you on a certain route. They're not going to show you the evils in their country. And a lot of times that people live in a country, like, do you know how many Canadians are totally stupid and trying to vote for the Liberals again? They're so fucking dumb. They'll believe stuff that their news tells them. Like, oh, Americans hate you and they want to kill you, and Canadians are selling their houses and everything's collapsing. It's all propaganda. But because that's all they watch and they don't watch anything else, they believe CTV. They've been watching it for decades and decades and decades. Well, the same things happen in Israel. You're not going to go there, and there actually is quite a rising number of the population, like a massive part of the population that does not like Netanyahu. Netanyahu's power is coming. He's trying to control America. He's trying to control podcasts. He's literally meeting with Tim Pool and different podcasters trying to control the narrative. Tim Pool's literally like gone off the rails. These guys are bought and paid for. This is what I mean. But most of these influencers in the podcast world, if they're meeting with these leaders, they are being manipulated. They're infiltrating their evil into the podcasting world. And on this, I found that clip, by the way, online. I can pop it up for you. A lot of people are saying, just based on that Murray won. I think these are retarded people. I can understand why he wants to defend somebody like, say Winston Churchill, and he doesn't like their World War II narratives. But for him to come on pretentiously right off the get-go from the podcast and shame Joe Rogan for having Martyr Made, the podcast on there, who's done hours and hours and years of research, because he doesn't like it because he presents that, Winston Churchill may not have been a total good guy of the war, which he wasn't. He's done a lot of manipulative things, but that doesn't mean he's saying Hitler was good. You see, and Douglas Murray will make these claims like, you haven't been there, you don't know, you're not a specialist, you're not any of this stuff. But all these people he's criticizing, he openly admits he doesn't listen to their work, he doesn't care, he doesn't have to, because he already knows. It's absolute hypocrisy. All right, so let's take a clip from Dave Smith Cook's Douglas Murray and the Gaza Genocide. Let's have a look here.
When you look at things, when you say, which essentially I think is your point here, right? Which, I mean, I tried to push you on this, but you're saying, look, we can degrade Hamas, but the cost of that is going to be slaughtering a whole bunch of people.
It's not slaughtering, it's war.
Okay, I think you're...
It's not slaughtering him, it's a war. This is another thing that Douglas does. In another clip, Dave Smith says, we are at war. And Douglas goes, we are not at war. Like pointing out, there's a war, but we are not at war. He's trying to be smarmy and pointing out, he targets little words. I'm convinced this guy's a trained actor, this little prissy fuck, because he's like, it's not a slaughter, it's a war. See how pretentious? He's trying to make you think that otherwise, that they're not slaughtering these innocent people. It's war. And these things happen in war. Just like Churchill did a war. Oh, darling. It's gross. He is a gross motherfucker.
Okay, they're not being slaughtered. They're being killed. Okay, whatever
They're
word
being
you want to
killed
use.
in a brutal war started by Hamas.
Yes, it's babies.
Oh, he forgets to tell you that Hamas was funded by Israel. He forgets to tell you that Bibi Netanyahu right now, they're trying to put him on trial for funneling money to Qatar, and Qatar gives it to Hamas. So they could do October 7th. He's trying not to tell you all this stuff. And I had a baby boomer on my show that wouldn't listen to me. The Republican baby boomers believe this shit the same way the liberals believe the Ukrainian shit. Over and over and over again. Let's listen.
And little kids screaming out for help under rubble, and no help is coming. They sit there under the rubble until they die. That is the level of human suffering that's being inflicted. And if you want to say, well, listen, that's a price that I'm willing to pay to try to degrade Hamas, even though you yourself recognize that we can't totally eliminate them, but we could maybe degrade them or maybe take them down a peg. No. And the price for that is these babies being tortured to death, essentially, whatever you want to call it. Okay, but from the other side of that story, like if there's, like, I got little kids, I don't know if you have kids, I know you have kids, Joe. If anybody ever was saying to me that, like, my kids were the acceptable price for this policy that we want to put into place, I'm saying I don't think there's any scenario any scenario, Douglas, where there would be any time where you would accept Israeli kids dying like that as an acceptable price for a policy that you're going to be advocating for?
First of all, again, go back to the what is actually happening. There is no desire or aim by
Okay, so here's another thing he does. So when he's confronted and pushed into a corner with something like this, he doesn't answer it. He doesn't answer it. He's like, okay, wait a minute. Let's go back to 1902. He never gets back to the answer because he knows if he swerves you another way, let's go back to this, darling. Let's go over here. He's going to swerve you on another avenue so you forget what Dave Smith originally said and you don't get back to it. And most people are that daft that they forget and they listen to his stuff. Oh, look, listen to his accents and his facts. And he works for this place and he's written all these books. Oh, he must be so smart. And they forget what the original point was. Narcissists and psychopaths always do this. You can't have a real debate from him because they never answer your question and they never go with the facts you present. They'll swerve it around. He's so intellectually dishonest.
the IAF or the IDF to go into Gaza and kill women and children.
Well, they're doing it, though.
Hang on. There is
Hang
no
on,
desire.
hang on. No, they're not.
Does it happen collaterally?
It's war. It's not
Certainly.
slaughter.
Certainly.
Bitch.
And that is one of the very ugly rules of war and things that happens in war. And it's another of the reasons why it's almost like you shouldn't start a war and hide your rockets and your terrorists inside civilian buildings.
It's almost like see what he's saying? He's trying to tell you they hide them, they do this, and I've heard this, and I used to believe this shit. They forget to tell you who's funding these fuckers. They forget to tell you who's funding, and also these guys who are terrorists, they've all along been funded by Israel, and they don't have anything compared to what Israel has. This guy is so intellectually dishonest, it just makes me want to punch the screen.
Yeah, but
Hang on.
you've made this point a
hang on.
lot of times, but okay.
Well, it clearly can't be made enough because there is no intention on the Israeli side to cause the death of non-combatants.
Oh, come on. I mean,
Hang on.
listen.
What?
Okay.
You think? Why do you think the Israelis would want to go and kill children in Gaza?
Listen, let me just, how about I say it like this, okay? And by the way, when I say it like this, I'm not claiming that disputes between nations are the same as handling dispute domestically. I'm just saying on the idea of intentionality or who wants to do this or whatever. Look, even if you had the right, let's say somebody broke onto your property and killed some of your family members and you want to go kill this guy. If he goes back to his apartment building and you know that there's women and children in that apartment building, and so your move is to blow up the building, what you would be charged with is murder in the first degree. Cold-blooded, premeditated, intentional murder. And you could sit there and tell the judge, I didn't want to kill all those people. Why would I want to kill all those people? I just had to kill that one guy. But that's bullshit. That's not what counts. You did it intentionally. You dropped a bomb knowing that there were women and children in that building. You're taking an action knowing that these innocent people are going to die. Then that is, by definition, intentional. And, you could sit here and talk about, and it is true, there have been documented cases of Hamas placing missiles in mosques and in schools and things like that. But when you look at the aerial footage of Gaza, that does not describe every single strike that Israel has launched. There have been tons of bombs dropped where it's simply, and we have very good reporting on this, where they've literally just have information that they believe with some degree of certainty that a couple of Hamas militants are in this building, and so they blow up the building. That is intentionally murdering innocent people. And if you're going to advocate for this war, I don't see how you can do it without saying...
It's literally mafia style. Like they go bomb a building because they think one of their enemies are in there, and it's got like mothers, children's, and 50 people who have nothing to do with them. It's literally mafia style. It's so crazy.
That, like, at least bite the bullet that Madeleine Albright did when she was asked, that we've played this clip show before, when she's point blank asked about the sanctions on Iraq and our 500,000 children, is that price acceptable? And she said, yes, we believe that price is acceptable. You're saying if you're going to support this war, you know this is the price of it. So why can't you just say, yes, that price is acceptable? Because then we could have a real conversation about why the other side is going to look at you like a monster.
Because, first of all,
So it clips off there. But my God. He's like, yes, all those people are worth it to get a couple of terrorists. I can guarantee you there's better ways to get those terrorists. It's called stop funding them. How about that? How about there's some people, like there's stupid douchebags like this who think it was a gotcha, but it's so insane. Listen to this. We'll do another one.
and it's largely to do with people who have appointed themselves experts who are not experts. Dave's a comedian, but he's now mainly talking about Israel.
That's funny. He wrote a book on Islam, but he's not an expert. He has his degree in English. He's rich. He's elite. He's paid. He's paid by these people. I don't know what else to say. He's paid. He's part of an elite system. I believe he's a board member of certain things that are certain entities. We can have a look up about Douglas Murray, but Douglas Murray, he's not. There's no way he's any kind of, and he's looking a little rough these days. He's looking like cranky, bitchy, pissy. Like he just doesn't look good. And anyone who's saying that Joe Rogan, that he did that, it's just because he stayed calm. Oh, whatever. Joe Rogan and I mean they really had some good questions, and he contradicted himself. He contradicted what he was saying, and like I said, he just weaves out, in and out and in and out and in and out, and never answers directly what's coming, what the question is. And then he uses he'll to divert it. He'll say, it's not slaughter, it's war. It's not we. They are at war. Obviously, you're too emotionally tied to your country to say we. So he's trying to, it's a psychological hit. He's trying to break up his argument and distract him from his point. It's very manipulative. The guy is so manipulative, and he's intellectually dishonest. And if you think he's a good debater, well, I'm sorry. You've just got your head up your ass. I don't know what else to say. So, trust the experts. That just happens to be all government officials, elite people. You're too stupid to know anything, and that's the end, according to Douglas Murray. That is the damn well end, and it's just really sad that everything has to kind of go this way, and it's frustrating. I used to listen to a lot of Douglas Murray, but I stopped because I realized what a warmonger he was. And people who are warmongers and who are always pushing for war and sitting around lounging and talking like they're fucking Churchill, don't trust those people. And the people who are pro Douglas Murray, don't trust them either. They're not trustworthy people, because they will literally criticize the war in Ukraine, and then they'll like him because they like the war in Israel, not really realizing like a lot of the people in Ukraine go to Israel. They're, and go for pilgrimages. It's all connected. It's all globalism. You can't trust any people who are that daft that they can't see the similarities and the patterns. Those are people that are being led by a message. And this guy is here, I think, one, to suss out the audience, to not even to change the audience's mind. They're there to rile up the people that already agree with them, and they're there to sharpen an arrow and strike it at those people, knock them off their kilter. And there are retards who think he was successful, but he really wasn't. And I think Joe Rogan and Dave Smith bring up some really good points. They just don't sound as eloquent as him. He's like, oh, whatever, so what? Oh, yeah, blah, 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 blah. If you're taken by that and you think that's intelligence, there's something wrong with you. Guarantee you, if you took everything away from Douglas Murray, end of the world sort of scenario, and he had to go into an outback, a mountain hill town and survive and grow food, he'd be dead. He'd be gone. He's only as strong as the structure that funnels money into his pocket does. How do you think these people are rich with these lame ass books anyways? They have everything behind them. It's a system. It's made for the elites. It's not made for you and me, although they market to us and try to control how we think. They are the officials. They have access to the archives. Martyr made the podcast he was criticizing, sorry. I'm pretty darn sure he can have access to the archives, and he's a smart guy. You can be self-made. You have the right, you and me have the right to look at history. We have the right to analyze this stuff and say, fuck, there's something wrong here. Something doesn't fit in this narrative. Something's not right. And if that means you question something that happened in World War II, then that means you do. These guys are trying to villainize us as Nazis, as crazy people, because we're not buying their bullshit. And Carlin Borsienko did a live stream on this. I suggest you go check hers out, because you can, if you're an intelligent, smart person and you're well educated and you know how to research, you can do journalism if you got trained in something else. He's trained in English. He's not doing English. He's doing like geopolitics in Iran, and suddenly he's a professional. If he can do that, why can't a comedian who, by the way, comedians are often very good at seeing the truth in society and holding up a mirror to us. Why can't a comedian talk about geopolitics? They're very threatened. They're very threatened because people are listening. People are listening to these people. They don't like it, and they think they're Nazis, and they're doing revisionism, and they're just going, hey, we're asking questions because we don't like your narrative. There's something wrong with it. And people like Douglas Murray, who are getting paid by these elite government officials, they don't like that shit. No way. Anyways, that's all I've got to say. I recommend you kind of go look at the original one, but he's intellectually dishonest. You don't have to be somewhere. Being somewhere might help, but also being somewhere, you might be open to propaganda and manipulation when you get there. You might not get all the facts by people who are controlling and manipulating stuff. That's a simple way of looking at it. There's a lot of complex and nuanced things that come from being in situations. Like I played you in that video before, that gentleman's telling you, hey, look, you could be there. You can be in a country and be manipulated and not really know what's going on. Sometimes leaving and standing at a distance and collecting information and getting other ideas and input and seeing outside of that area is helpful as well. So Douglas Murray is just a shill. He's psychologically trying to attack. He's being pretentious, arrogant, wicked, and he's trying to chop up Dave Smith. Dave Smith is actually probably more straight up, honest, and probably more nuanced and probably more caring of a person than this, butt fucking crazy ass from England who is clearly thinks he's better than everybody else. That should not, if you are America first, that should not go by well with you. And if you think you have to go to a place to comment on it on X, then stop posting on X, because you guys post on shit you never been to all the time. Don't be a hypocrite. That's all I got to say about that. Woo-wee. All right. We're done there. We got the Douglas Murray stuff out of the way. I spent so much time that I didn't necessarily want to spend on it because it just kind of pissed me off. But we're going to get into the Mennonite stuff. We're going to talk about health because I'm 48 today. Thank you very much for the birthday wishes. I had a few of them from you. You guys are wonderful. But health is important. And look, when I started off this video, I talked all about infectious disease versus chronic disease. And we used to have a huge problem with infectious diseases. It was a huge problem with bacteria infections. A lot of women would die of fever and infection after childbirth. People would get certain plagues or diseases in the water, and a lot of engineering and good sanitary practices and understanding bacteria, et cetera, has helped clear that up. I've no doubt that there is some really good stuff about our medical system that I would not want to throw away. This isn't about let's throw everything away. Like if I break my leg today, I don't want to go to a witch doctor with an herb. I want to go get my bone set with somebody who knows, who is an expert. In this case, you want someone who knows how to set a bone because it's a very specific skill set that needs that. That, if it makes sense. If Douglas Murray said, hey, look, you don't want some guy who tells comedy to actually now set the bone in your leg, you get that part because there is a very specific skill set to set a bone and leg. You're doing something really specific. You're not talking about history and investigation. Totally different, right? You kind of get the difference between those two because that's how Douglas Murray is trying to confuse you. Okay? So you do want some professionalism, some understanding, someone who's spent a long time in school looking at the skeletal system and all that stuff. Infectious disease, sure. But we know you can be manipulated with that. We were manipulated with a whole entire pandemic. And by the way, the World Economic Forum is laughing and celebrating, saying that it was a test. They're literally admitting that it was a test and it went really well, that everybody's a bunch of Muppets and fell for it. And I have no doubt they'll fall for shit again, just like they're falling for Douglas Murray and getting their tits all up in a tizzy. But one of the things, let's go back to the disease. Let's not get too off charts. We're having problem with not necessarily infectious disease. That went on the decline. It is now chronic disease. Diabetes, cancer, heart attacks, inflammation, certain types of autoimmune disorders. I mean, they're through the roof, guys. They're through the roof. Me and my husband talk about this a lot. And one of my biggest food sins is I'll go get like a Coke Zero or a Diet Soda. It's like my biggest food sin ever. It's something I'm trying not to do. Is like the sugars, even the sugar substitutes, they're not good for you. And we talk about the food stuff a lot of times because a lot of us are having to be on like high blood pressure pills. Like we're dependent on stuff that, by the way, is most of the stuff is made in China. God, for all we know, they could stick fentanyl in it as a weapon. They could weaponize this shit. Like if we're at war with these countries, they could weaponize this stuff. And we have a government. We have a system that's like, no, just trust us. Just trust what we're doing. Just trust the information. And of course, there's a lot of people out there that don't trust it. I haven't trusted it since I started to look at sugar and bread and wheat and what it does to the body. This was back in 2007, 2008. I started to research this. I read stuff like they've been doing research on dieting and all this stuff that, the military was doing research on this, and they were doing it on what they might be veterans now, but they're, military, army guys and all sorts of stuff, and sailors in the Navy, whatever, they would use them in certain diet experiments. If you go read the book Good Fats, Bad Fats, Good Calories, Bad Calories by Gary Taubes, he goes through a lot of these experiments they did, and they realized that calorie deficit drove people literally crazy, and in the long term, it didn't make you thinner. It works at first if you have calorie deficit, but in the long run, like, you can't stop thinking about food. Like, weird stuff happens. So you got to have a nice equilibrium. And it's about the quality of food and what you're eating and the types of food. And out of a lot of these diet studies came the Ansel Keys studies, which told us basically that fat was bad for us. And they had to do all this low fat stuff and fiber and eat bread and wheats. And the whole thing was a big campaign. Everything is a fucking food propaganda campaign. Food propaganda campaign. I don't know how else to tell it to you that a lot of the stuff that they market out to us with the FDA is all for like food consumption and marketing and telling us to eat certain stuff. So we got into this mode where people were dieting with low fat, low calorie, low fat yogurt done with fillers. And no one ever paid attention to what was actually in that food. And over the decades, the ingredients have gotten absolutely insane. Like, take bread. Take something like bread. What do you need? Like flour, water, maybe some yeast if you're doing a risen bread, some salt. I don't know, maybe some people put butter. You need only a few ingredients. You might need a little bit of oil. You only need a few ingredients. If you go and look at the ingredients on your processed packaged bread, not to mention the GMO stuff that goes into growing the wheat and how the wheat has changed over the years. Go look at the ingredients. It's massive. It's like there's like 50 ingredients or 30 ingredients. Like, you just don't need all these ingredients. And I was like, why? Why are they putting all this stuff? And now we don't even know if it's real. And now they're importing foods from all over the world, and we don't know what their practices of food processing is. Like China, do we know if China, like, we don't know. And we're coming into this realm, like I said, with chronic disease, where we're having, not only that, we're also having autism rates off the charts. And some people are linking that to vaccines, etc. And I don't know, but a lot of these diseases are not showing up in the Amish community. They're just not there, guys. They're just not there. And I'm going to tell you 3 things that the Amish community is super skeptical of when it comes to our world. And I used to be like, when I would see them, they weren't called the Amish on Vancouver Island. They're Hutterites. They were called Hutterites in Alberta. They were called Mennonites on Vancouver Island. Very similar to Amish. And I would see them in the store and I would kind of scoff. Like, oh my God, it's so ridiculous. They're in Costco. And some of them do go to Costco. But the real Amish types, they're like people of the land. Like, it just doesn't happen at all. They don't come into civilization too much. And the 3 things that the Amish do not like and do not trust are this. They do not like government. This is why it was a miracle that they got them to vote for Trump this time. So they do not like government. And I think there's some things they should be critical of with Trump as well, because he is now a politician. So they don't like our system of government. They don't like the schooling and education system, and they don't like our health system. Those 3 things are huge problems for them. And the older I get and the more I watch everything go crazy, the more I understand why they don't like these systems. And they are slowly actually being targeted by government, because the government can go in and they can shut things down because of their insane regulations and rules. They don't want you to be independent. They want you to rely on their system. And their system is so big and vast, they have to have these crazy rules so they can reduce certain issues and problems. But those problems don't necessarily happen on this smaller system when you just have you and a cow and a farm and everything's whole. You don't come into those same problems when you're not mass processing the food. So there's like this like, I don't know, there's this divide between and gap between, homesteading it and doing it the original way and this whole government system way. And I understand that the big system has to have certain rules and regulations to keep things clean and sanitation, infectious diseases, that they're focused on that. But their system creates the chronic diseases, right? But when you're on a smaller system like the Amish, I don't think the same rules apply. We're going to go look at some stuff and how the Amish live and what they believe, but mostly how they're actually being targeted by the feds, but also that they have lower rates of all of these diseases. Some people say no cancer. They're not immune to cancer. Their cancer levels are just absolutely low. They have pretty much no diabetes. Their heart attacks levels are like way down. They're not going to be having they don't have massive levels of sexually transmitted diseases because they're not out whoring around at bars and drinking tons of alcohol. They don't consume the canolas and the vegetable oils and the Crisco oil. The canola, we can thank Canada for that one. See the CAN, that's Canada. It's made from rapeseed oil. It literally is so horrible and evil for you. Vegetable oil, any of those Franken oils. You kind of want to do like tallow, butter, some coconut oil, and avocado oil is okay too. There's some healthy oils. But the ones they put in all those packaged foods in the grocery store saying they're feeding you healthy, even if it's like sausages, you can find this stuff in high fructose corn syrup. It's infiltrated everywhere and it slowly makes our bodies like really sick. The Amish don't have those issues. Not at that level. And I used to work pitching food and promoting food sales. And I would always be looking at the ingredients going, oh, geez, I don't, God, I can't believe I have to force people to pitch this piece of shit food. Like, I can't believe I have to do this today. This is like absolutely insane. But it did. And one guy came into me, and he was from Germany. And he was older man. And he would come in all the time, and he'd say hi to me and complain about our society. And he came in one time, he's like, why are all the women fucking ugly? He didn't use the F word, actually. What's wrong with these women? They don't look like women anymore. They're ugly. It's like the pink-haired liberals. And he'd be like, and you know what? He'd say, when I lived in my village in Germany, you might have 1 or 2 cases of breast cancer. Like, hardly any. And he's like, now it's filled, the whole village, it's filled. Everybody has all breast cancer and cancers. It's really crazy. He's like, and I'm like, he felt like he was being gaslit to be like, no, it's just because of this. It's because of, no, it's because of the system. It's because of the toxins. It's the food. It's also the chemicals they spray everywhere. The trains, planes, and automobiles. Yeah, sure. The chemicals, the pesticides, and all of that crap. And he mentioned that to me. And we only have but to look at the Amish to really know what the hell is going on, that you can do this comparison. And I don't know how long they'll stay healthy. Like, I don't know how much of these contaminants will slowly infiltrate everywhere. But it's evil. But I don't think the people who are doing it think it's evil. I think they think it's Tuesday and it's perfectly fine. And they've sort of logicized it and why and how they have to do it. And that they think you're evil if you don't do this system. That's what's really funny. Anyways, let's have a look at what this guy says.
There's 3 things the Amish don't like, and that's government. They won't get involved in government. They don't like the public education system. They won't send their children to education, and they also don't like the health system. They rip us off. Those are 3 things that we feel like we're fighting against all the time. Well, those 3 things are all part of what COVID is. It's a worse thing to quit working than dying. But to shut down and say that we can't go to church, we can't get together with family, we can't see our old people in the hospital, we got to quit working. You're working, it's going completely against everything that we believe. And you're changing our culture completely to try to act like they wanted us to act the last year.
Yeah, it's attack. COVID was an attack on how they could manipulate humans into little boxes for their 15-minute cities, for their 2030, how they could manipulate people to give up these things that were, and there was people who fought, God bless their hearts, there was people who fought, but how they could manipulate stuff. And there was a lot of people who they were like, oh my God, they didn't even know what was going on. And in Canada, the military is totally admitting that they used psychological tactics on Canadian citizens. They locked us down. If we tried to leave certain places, they would put us in hotels. It got crazy. Places got super crazy and everyone fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. And because the major systems were all WEF controlled and in on it. And you were made to feel, there is this video, I got to find it, by Candace, because she talks about this psychology and why we do things, even if we know it's not right, or even if we know that there's something wrong with it, that we do certain things. If everybody else says it, we will say it too. And it's very bizarre. It's super. I'm gonna find it because it's an important one. We really should go over this. Okay, here we go. I got it. We will look at that. But I want to explain to you what's happening in the attack on our health and why the Amish are right about certain things. Let's flip over here. It comes down to this experiment, and they understood this very much about us. And you got to listen to what Candace says. She's going to explain it better than what I could, but this is why they're able to control everybody. This is why they're able to make everybody agree to something they know is wrong, or they can see it's a lie, and why they'll go against that. Check this out.
Back in the day, I did this experiment where they placed 18 people in a room.
Okay,
17.
Let's go back.
So true story. The CIA, back in the day, did this experiment where they placed 18 people in a room. 17 of those people were actually CIA agents, and one of them was just an unwitting member of the public. So the person that was running the experiment showed every single person in the room a picture of a triangle. And he asked every person in the room to simply state what they saw on the picture. All of the agents were instructed to say square. So imagine you're in this room with 70 other people, you think that you're all off the side of the street, and they start going around, and everyone says, oh, what is that? A square. A square. What do you see? A square, a square, a square, a square. Well, by the time it gets to you, and you're the 18th person, you're going, oh, am I crazy? I see a triangle. And guess what that 18th person said? Well, they said square, because they didn't want to be the crazy person in the room. That is exactly how the media works. Trust your gut. Your gut is God-given.
There you go. So when they did that stuff on COVID, and when they keep repeating, that's why they repeat stuff on media. They tell us, oh, this is perfectly healthy. This diet is healthy. This low-fat stuff is healthy. People, they say, look, professionals say aspartame doesn't cause this. They'll repeat that. I literally have it right here. I had it on Google. It tells me seed oils or edible oils extracted from the seeds of plants. And they're telling me they're good for you. There's like, are they toxic? As facts and myths. There is like stuff they'll tell me, oh no, the Amish aren't immune to cancer. Well, we didn't say they were immune to cancer. We just said they get lower rates of cancer. You see, they manipulate you. I can see it in the AI right on Google. And if everybody's saying the same thing, you're gonna go with it. And even if it's against your religion, everything, we're like, you're the herd mind. You're like, well, I don't want to be fucking crazy. We've done it before. We do. A lot of us have been victim to this. And this is so important to understand about food, about the government, about schooling, about everything that we go through with the media. The music is, if you say, no, I don't like that, or that's not true after everybody else is saying it, that they'll turn on you. They'll call you. They will. If you don't feel like you're crazy, they will call you crazy. And that hurts. It's painful experience. And it could put you at risk. You could be outside of the tribe. You could be vulnerable to, starving or not having a job or fired. And that's what they did to us during COVID. This experiment with the CIA tells you exactly that they know what to do and why they did that, and why they repeat everything in these mass medias, and why they're trying to infiltrate podcasts, why they're putting someone like Douglas Murray out there to make you feel like you're crazy. You're a fucking Nazi. You questioning Winston Churchill? I'm not suggesting you go rip his statue down or defile anything. Absolutely not. He had some good purposes. Winston Churchill did some great, things, and he riled certain things up. But this idea that you can't question, you're crazy. You're not a professional. Look at all these professionals. Look at all these experts. We all said this. All the experts said there's global warming. What are you denying bigot? That's what this experiment is, what we're up against in a nutshell. And the CIA knows this. They all know this shit. They know it. So I thought it was really important to play that for you before we get into the Amish and how they're being targeted and why is healthy. Remember, we all just think things come from a grocery store. And I mean, I go to grocery stores as well. And I've been thinking more and more about, moving to the hills of West Virginia. But you have to learn the basics of the world. You got to learn the foundations of how to plant food, where the food really fucking comes from before it gets to this mass system. And it's the farmers and the people who plant things, but the farming is infected with all this shit too. It's infected. Same with they try to make you think cows are bad. Because they've infected. If cows are bad, it's because, and they're injecting them with shit not to make them fart, and they're feeding them corn when they should be eating grass and being rotated on the farm. There's smart ways of farming that's really healthy. But no, we can't do that. We can't do smart ways. Let's have a look. I have some clips. We'll keep talking. It's my birthday. I'm gonna have another sip of wine here, you guys. I keep talking. You gotta have a bit of wine. Well, the Amish also don't drink, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't drink very much either. I'm just having this because it's my birthday. But I want to look at, the government knows that if people get onto this, It's not good. They want to stop it. I can understand they have to have some regulation. I understand some regulation. I'm not being like, oh, they shouldn't make sure the food's healthy. But their system by far and the stuff they put in the food is not healthy. It's not good. And it's why we have all these infectious diseases. Here we go. Golden Valley, Farmville, Virginia. Let's check this out.
This ain't right. We had all this meat, we worked hard to get it in the freezer, process it, package it. The next day they came with a search warrant, went through everything, house, every building in the barn, they just raided through everything. We can't touch it, we can't sell it, we can't feed our family, we can't give it away, can't feed it to dogs, we can't do anything with it. They just took it to the dump. You have to keep going because people are depending on this stuff as their medicine. I want this world to have the opportunity of finding real food.
You're about to hear the story of how a small-town Amish farmer's world was turned upside down by the government of Virginia. Town Hall spoke with that cattle farmer, Samuel Fisher, the owner of Golden Valley Farms. Since the state raided his farm, Samuel has been criminally charged. His products, which feed about 500 customers and their families, were seized and hauled to the dump. And his meat sales have been
And they
shut
just throw it
down.
out.
Samuel and his family are Amish farmers.
I don't
Out of
care, they're
respect for his
evil.
religious tradition, we're adhering to
Like
his
they throw
wishes
eggs that
to
are
keep
fine.
his face and family off camera as much as possible for this interview. This is Samuel's story in his own words. Can you just tell me more about Golden Valley Farms and its origin?
We started about 5 years ago. We bought the herd of cows.
want
with the
toxic
business,
Chinese
with
farm.
the customer base, basically just selling milk. We started doing cream, yogurt, other stuff because people were asking for it. And then along with that, we pretty soon started with meat. When we put up this building, we were not planning on processing meat ourselves. We were doing it a little bit for our family, but we were not planning to do it for our customers. And then we decided we're going to do some USDA inspected because I knew that is technically, to a lot of people's minds, is more legal. So I decided we're going to send it to the USDA facilities, have it slaughtered, butchered there, and bring it back, put it in the freezer and sell that. So now we had two options available. We did sell some of the USDA meat, but it was slow. It was very obvious the customers do want the meat that is processed here on the farm and no USDA inspection. And after the state was here, it was interesting. I told the office manager to do a survey from the customers if they want me to send our animals to USDA and have it USDA inspected, or if they want me to process it here myself. The survey came back around 92% of the customers wanted me to process here on the farm, sell it right here off the farm.
What are the costs to take it to the nearest facility, and how far away would that be?
That's around 2 hours of driving, and the cost to take it over there is a lot. It depends if you can do a lot at one time. If you can do a trailer load at one time, 4 cows and 5 pigs or something like that, cost for all that would probably be $500. But it's hard for us to ship so many animals at one time, process all those, bring the meat back, and have that in stock. By the time the meat comes back, you might be running low on certain cuts of meat, but what you ordered from USDA was not accurate to that. You might run out of some stuff long before other stuff because you had to order it so far in advance. Plus then the pandemic came, and then you had to schedule your animals around 8 to 12 months ahead of time. Well, that was super hard to predict so far ahead how much I actually need to process. At that time, pandemic came, stores weren't open, stores were running out of food, customers were starting to buy heavily. All of a sudden, we had a lot of need for meat. Well, there was no option taking it to USDA facility, so that's when the trigger pushed to do it ourselves. Customers were buying mostly from our own meat, not so much from the USDA. Then the pandemic came and there was no other option but either not have it available or process it ourselves. So we started processing ourselves. We put addition to the building and made a processing room, and we certainly like it now. Then the state came in and asked what we're doing, and I told them exactly what we're doing. We're selling meat to our customers, and they said, no, there's no way around it, you can't do that. They asked permission to get in here. I did not give them permission to come in here, and they told me we'll be back and left. The next day they came with a search warrant, went through everything, house, every building in the barn. They just raided through everything, put their nose in everything, and wanted to know every detail of everything. It went out back, trying to find all the failure they can find on a farm, which of course, some of their stuff, which they think is wrong, it's just normal stuff on a farm. They were here for like 3-4 hours. I wasn't on the farm at the time.
You know, I mean, you know what? It's like if a cop comes and pulls your car over for no reason and like smashes the tail light and goes, oh, look, there's the tail light out. Like it's corruption. And it's funny that they did it during the pandemic. They wanted to shut everyone's ability to be independent down, and they wanted people to suffer and be harmed and closed down to this system. It's devious, it's evil, and basically it's a system that abuses you. You are getting chronic diseases, autism. They're forcing vaccinations. They're treating you like you are cattle in their fucking creepy farm. And when you try to have an independent way to be, they just outlaw it. They make it illegal. They attack you. They shut you down. They fine you. They tax you. They do all these methods that they have. It's to shut you down from being independent. It's super, super, super devious. And this is what they've done. They've done this to the Amish, and they've done this to anyone else who's homesteading, etc. Aggressively.
And then they tag the meat so that we can't touch it, we can't sell it, we can't feed our family with it, we can't do anything with it. To me, that was quite wrong, that we can't feed our family with it, or at least give it to people. I even made a special phone call to ask him again if that's the way it is. No. He said, yes, cannot feed.
Meanwhile, their meat is all filled with dyes and MSG. Half the stuff they say that's made in the USA, I just want you guys to know, they'll ship it in from crazy companies like China. You could be eating dog food. You could be eating fucking bugs. But this Amish guy who's making really good meat, you know, they just find stuff. And they can find anything. But, you know, there'll be some crazy chain restaurant running that's giving you canola oil heart attacks. That's perfectly fine. Do you see how fucked up and satanic everything is?
Feed your family with it, you cannot do anything with it. I decided, this ain't right. We're gonna feed our family, we're gonna feed our customers. We did not honor that tag, we sold the meat. We sold some meat out of there, whatever customers ordered. Then the state came back and they saw what we did. Really gave me a mouthful for doing that, but basically what they did was they took it to court. They took a lot of pictures of whatever they could here at the farm to find evidence that we're slaughtering and selling raw meat, and took it to court in order to seize the product and put it in the dump. Later that day, they came out here with the U-Haul truck, backed it right up here to the door, and took 2 men 4 hours to get it out. And they just loaded it on a U-Haul truck and took it out to a dump and dumped everything out. And they got all the meat except pet food and wild game packs of ground turkey. But everything else they took. After the warrant, they had a tag that we can't do anything. We can't take any meat out. We can't feed our family. We can't give it away. Can't feed it.
That is, by the way, that's super government. Here's another one.
Shut down Amos Miller's operation. Armed feds pay visits to Amish farmer faces hundreds of thousands of fines. Amos Miller, an Amish farmer who runs a holistically managed small farm in Hand, Pennsylvania, grows and prepares food in tune with nature, the way he believes God intended. This seems like a sound idea to the approximately 4,000 customers purchased Miller's meat, eggs, dairy products from his private members-only food club. Now, he had to start a members-only food club because there's some kind of regulation over there that's stopping him from just having the general public come to his store. But he's doing the workaround, just like everybody does. The federal government, however, appears to disagree. right? A federal judge recently ordered Miller to cease and desist all meat sales. Our Organic Wellness reported U.S. Marshals were deployed to search Miller's property, and then they inventoried his stock to assure that he doesn't sell.
They don't want us to be healthy. I mean, you got to know that they want us to be sick. They are targeting the food when their own food system is unhealthy. Europe has a healthier food system, and even they have issues and problems with health. And you'd have to go look at the stats. But the Amish, that is like the food system. They do not trust our food system, and you can't blame them. All the Mennonites that I knew in Vancouver Island, like they made their own bread, they did all their stuff. You would kind of see them sometimes in Walmart buying some clothes, maybe some shoes, stuff like that. But the food, they were pretty picky on. And I don't know. I just, it is the beast system. We are living in this beast system of crazy food. Of just insane. Now I want to show you in comparison like how we process the food and how we do food in this system. Let's see. I think this one is it. Yeah, this is how they make chicken McNuggets, guys. If I can get the sound on. I hate. I'm gonna reload it because it's kind of here we go. There's chicken nuggets. So this is probably some lab chicken, some farm chicken that's fed corn and antibiotics. It actually says McDonald's nuggets is 57% fat, petroleum preservative, and the same silicone found in breast implants. Dude, that's what they're putting in the chicken nuggets. It looks like they're making the underlay for carpet. It's literally made in a factory like they would make, like, wow, it's so insane. I never eat at McDonald's. It's just too disgusting and gross. I want to apologize for all you audio people who are just listening. You can't see the visuals, but if you could see the visuals on how they're making these nuggets, it looks like rolls of plastic. It's pretty grotesque. There is nothing wholesome about this at all. So that's it. It just shows you the process, and it's a pretty gruesome process. You know, from chicken to flattened out carpet underlay. It looks like they're making underlay for carpet. It's pretty brutal. And there's petroleum preservatives. There's all sorts of crap. Just go look at their French fries. For French fries, you can soak your French fries, your potatoes, but you need kind of salt and maybe fry them in some tallow or oil. You need potatoes. You need only so many ingredients. These guys' fries are, it's more than those ingredients. I feel like going to make Amish bread now. I think my husband might be listening out there. I totally want to go to the mountains of, it's hard work. If I can prove that I can do this stuff in our yard, and I've done a lot of work in our yard, I think I should be able to move to the mountains of somewhere out in the middle of nowhere. Well, and I'm not delusional, guys. I know we have to depend on the system in cities to a certain point, but it's gotten to a place where humans just can't deal with it. Like, the humans in the city who like the city are cold. There's something missing. I think you can be engineered to turn into like a psychopath or an unfeeling person who can cut everything and ignore the tragedy and the craziness. In these small towns, I mean, you're reliant on each other, right? If there's only 15 of you, you don't want to fuck each other over and be a crazy psychopath, because you depend on each other. If there's millions of you, you can fuck people over and no one will notice it. And you can get away with certain things for a certain amount of time. Let's go for another. We got another Facebook video here. What is this one again? I'm going to reload this page. Let's check it out. We'll turn the volume on. Oh, my friend's missing me a happy birthday.
To see if you would comply. They're so proud. They're so excited that the test worked. The World Economic Forum finally tells the truth about COVID. It was a test of our obedience to rapidly forming New World Order. And for those of you like Dude and DT Bro and the rest of you motherfuckers that are going to try to debunk this, this is exactly what the WEF has posted on their website.
They posted
what you're looking at right here is a screenshot from the WEF World Economic Forum website. Their language, their heading, COVID-19 was the test of social responsibility. A huge number of unimaginable restrictions for public health were adopted by billions of citizens across the world.
I have to pause this. And they go social credit, social responsibility. This is double speak. These crazy SOBs feeding you shitty food, skimming off of things, all for profit, and like have created chronic disease, autism. They're spraying the planet with bullshit in the sky, and they want to talk about social responsibility. This is like social responsibility for a psychopath. Social responsibility is injecting people and murdering people with an untested vaccination. That's mRNA technology. This is social responsibility. Social responsibility is creating propaganda to lie to people, to brainwash them since childhood, to convince them that they might be a different gender and chop their dicks off. They're lecturing us. They want us to test us for social responsibility. No, that is not social responsibility what they did. Remember the video of Candace Owens. It's conformity. It's conforming to everybody else. They were testing your conformity, how you would conform to bullshit. That's not social responsibility. That's fucking evil. Sorry.
There were numerous examples globally of maintaining social distancing, wearing masks, mass vaccinations, and acceptance of contact tracing applications for public health, which demonstrated the core of individual social responsibility. It was a test, all a test. It was all just a test to see if you would comply.
Of course it was a test. It was a test the same way that video of Candace Owens with the CIA agents saying, no, it's a square when it's a triangle, or whatever, vice versa. It's the same test. It's just on an elaborate scale. The food industry, they're coming out, they're targeting this stuff because you can't have individuals coming around saying, hey, we sell healthy meat and chicken like they used to for hundreds of years ago, and everybody was okay. We're doing that, and they're going to shut us down. If they found diseases, I could understand, but they don't find anything. They just shut it down. They look for all these pathetic reasons, like, oh, you didn't have your chicken at a 45-degree angle. It's ridiculous shit. It's probably something like that. I can guarantee you. Now, I have been looking at tons of homesteading videos. Also, geez, let's see. I've got one here on the Deep South. This is a really good, interesting video. I'll play it in a bit. But, a lot of people make fun, call people hillbillies. You got the movie Deliverance. It sort of shows you this contention and the struggle between, Deep South and these hillbillies and modernization, and that the modern men, oh my God, we're at danger. But really, who is at danger? Who's at danger? The hillbilly? Are they dangerous, or is the modern system dangerous? The modern system is, because it's driven by lots of money and lots of cash, lots of power, lots of people. Lots of people adhere to it because there's safety in it. There's also danger in it. There's also they're like, oh well, what does it matter if some of you die of cancers from all these sprays, and you get chronic diseases, and you have MS, or you have autism, or you're diabetic, whatever. Sit down, you're hungry, shove that, Cocoa Pebbles cereal down your gob. You don't like it? Whatever. Too bad if you don't like, Roundup being sprayed everywhere. Autism, whatever. Get your vaccination, or you can't go to school. You don't want to go to school, you want to homeschool, well, we're going to fuck that around with that too. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't got faith that Trump is like some one all and he'll defeat this. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. But I also think that we have to, in any situation, find the ways that we can do it the best. But there's this idea that these hillbillies are like horrible. And what I want to explain what happened to you, because it's explaining us, but in a more dire way. A lot of us live in the cities or live in big areas where we can make money and depend on the system. People in these small towns, what happened to them, they were actually very self-sufficient, knew how to grow their food, and they might have even been poor, but they were self-sustaining. And what starts to happen is these corporations, companies, whatever you want to call it, they move into some of these towns, or they restructure things in the town's form of income, say it's coal mining or something like that, moves out and slowly close down, and the town starts to die. Maybe the town had a Walmart that started to feed them at cheap prices. A Walmart moved in and then shut down all the mom and pop shops, closed everything off. Then the coal mining goes, they're restructuring stuff, and then the Walmart goes, oh well, we're gone, and the town is dead. They literally dry the town up. They divert all the stuff overseas. Maybe you're like Detroit, and they take all the car industry and divert it somewhere else. So it's dried up. All the interior states are struggling, but the states that stay strong, of course, is these port cities. You got like New York and Los Angeles and big cities on the coast. They stay really strong. And there are cities that are like tech centers. They have major industry. But if you're out in the boonies, or you're out in the countries or small towns, you really suffer. And it's hard to regroup and regrow that unless the industry comes back. That's sort of the point of Donald Trump. People hoping that comes back. But it doesn't solve a lot of the issues. It doesn't solve issues with somebody's trying to call me. Oh, my son is trying to call me. Oh, dear. I'm gonna have to call him back in a minute. We're gonna, tie this up. He's calling he's calling me on Messenger. Maybe I should take it. Here we go. "Hey, son. You're on a podcast. I'm streaming. Do you want me to call you after I'm done? I'll be done in about 10, 15 minutes." Thank you. Thank you for the happy birthday. I'll call you when I'm done. I won't be too much longer, buddy. Love you. Don't be sorry. That was my boy wishing me happy birthday. Nice kid. All right. Okay, I'll give him a call later. I'll give him a shout out later. He's awesome. That was great. Anyways, like I was talking about how they divert all this stuff, and then you just slowly get into this system where it's not natural anymore. It's mechanical. And now it's going to be AI, and everything's going to be controlled even more. I think it's going to be even more with Donald Trump because Elon Musk is in there. Not just Elon Musk, but all these other tech whores. You got these tech hoes. They're going to fly to space. What's his name? Bezos' girlfriend and all the big fucking Kardashian wannabe hoe burgers. They're going to go up in a giant dick rocket into space, I guess now. It's like totally getting insane. We're going crazy world. We're absolutely going crazy world. And I want to play this because I've been watching this guy's videos and he's so amazing. He's going out into these cities and these communities and towns that don't have a voice. That's all been forgotten. Thank you, Ivy, for the happy birthday. Thank you for always showing up to my streams. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all. But this channel, I'm going to tell you the name first. Let's make it smaller. It is Peter Santinello. He's got quite a bit of subscribers, and he goes out and he just kind of documents and talks to the people. I'll give you a link to this video. You guys can check him out. He goes to West Virginia. He goes to Mississippi. He goes to a whole bunch of places. He even goes to towns in California that are hurting. Okay, so let's just do a little bit here and get a sense of these people. They're in poorest regions in Deep South. This is the Mississippi Delta, and probably areas that used to be independent and thriving. And this system just cleans them out everywhere you go. And I experienced it even in Canada. Just clears you out and makes you not just impoverished. It's one thing to be poor, but it's another thing not to be able to have your own food and be self-sufficient. Let's check it out.
You're the mayor here?
Yes, I am.
Shut down gas stations, a sad sight. What's going on in Shelby?
You're gonna pop those when you close that. Oh my god. So they had their ceremonies up here. I never thought this would exist in Mississippi.
Under 200,000 though, you could get a really nice home
Yes,
here.
you can.
Greenville is definitely split in between two worlds right now. Delta girls know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Cornbread.
Oh, I love me some cornbread. A lot of cornbread.
There's just a lack of hope with many people in small town America. Most people just want to go to work, feed their family, and get on through life. Good morning, guys, here in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Today we have quite an adventure going south through the heart of the Mississippi Delta, known as the most southern place on Earth, also known as the poorest region of the South, arguably the poorest region in the whole country. So the goal is to get out on the back roads, meet the locals, ask the questions, learn a thing or two of what this region is like. Let's do this.
I'm going to put it forward a bit. These are very fascinating videos. I am totally fascinated by his channel. I was looking at some of these areas to move to when we retire, and he's convinced me, there's some areas where stuff's starting to come back. We'll see what happens with the Trump administration, but I'm going to be honest, I have no faith in massive large-scale governments and massive cold-hearted cunt faces, bureaucrats and stuff like that. They don't understand what they did to these communities and how these sort of Appalachians, Mississippi's not there, this isn't there, but you get the Appalachian areas and stuff like that, how they destroyed those communities and it created a lot of drug issues and everything. So let's go. Government houses. They make them dependent on welfare checks, government housing. They get into drugs. None of them want to work jobs. It's rampant all over.
Homes, looks like it at least. And you've had a lot of people that have left this region. At one time there was a lot of manual labor, well, far back slave labor, in these cotton fields. And then machinery took over. So there was the Great Migration up to cities like Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago. And so a lot of people left this region. We got the post office here. Well, this one's locked. Lobby hours 7:15 to 9:15.
A lot of abandoned buildings. And here's the thing. In America, these small towns, the mom and pop stuff, that's culture. That's what makes culture. And now our culture is filled with big box stores and bullshit and crazy movies and Hollywood. And I have no problem with you having some metropolis sort of culture, New York City, whatever, but these corporations have literally gone somewhere crazy and cleared these things out. And it's kind of a scary thing because I think that's when it happened. Like they talk about Mark of the Beast and all this crazy stuff in Revelation, that everyone's so dependent on this mark, they're so dependent on this system that if it ever falls apart, it really is Armageddon. It is, and that's why people struggle so much to keep it going. It's just so crazy. It's such crazy stuff. This guy's videos, I just enjoy them so much because not only just that I like ghost towns, and I mean some towns just they're there for a bit and they get gold and they drop. I get it, but a lot of these places were family community places. Where families thrived and did stuff, and we judged them really harshly, like, oh, they're hillbillies or hicks or, like I said, and they're just, they're literally, they used to be the backbone and the blood life of America, and now it's sort of drying up. It's kind of bad news for culture, if you ask me. That's bad news for culture if everything is just about big box and corporatism and just consuming, not creating memories with your family, not, sitting around a fire and telling stories. It's just consume, order from Amazon, consume, order from Amazon, consume, be on your phone, order from Amazon. This is literally our world. I mean, me and my husband, we're just as guilty on this, but it's not nice. And I remember even when I was younger, it wasn't this bad at all. Like the town that I was born in on this very day, 48 years ago, my friends, like stores were not open on Sundays when I was little. They just weren't. That was a thing that showed up with consumerism. Okay, I'll play a little bit more of this video. I don't want to go into it, but I just kind of, this reiteration of health, of infectious disease versus chronic disease, and you can see these towns as they've been cleared out and targeted by the system. They actually are the victim of all this food, this cheap shit food that's got the canola, the vegetable, the Crisco, the sugars, the crappy wheat with all these ingredients. I mean, I could go on. There's apps out there that you can get. My husband uses one that you can check the ingredients because they changed the names and everything. But these towns are affected by this most because they go to the stores and get all the shitty food. Now you see them in Walmart. They get the checks. They get the food. We used to call them food stamps, like whether it's EBT or something here. They get all this stuff and they load up on this crappy food. And a lot of them don't eat, kids, they don't even have cooking skills. They don't know how to cook. They have beans. They don't know how to make bread. They have no interest. They just want to sit on their phones or video game or do drugs or drink or, God, I don't know. But these towns were the backbone. They were, and I admit, it is hard work. It's not easy stuff, but I think it's more rewarding than sitting on your phone all day. Let's go forward here. I want to see him talk to the mayor. This guy is fascinating. This guy is the mayor of this town in Mississippi Delta.
Police center? Nope. Well, we called a county, which is 30 miles away.
Next scene, the guy is the mayor.
That's the mayor.
That's the mayor.
There's the mayor. He's coming. He's in his
Tommy,
SUV.
you're the mayor here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, what's going on in Alligator?
Well, right now it's pretty quiet. I'm trying to keep the peace, but we're suffering for business right now because we just had Gator's Grocery to close on us, Marianne Grocery closed.
This one right over here?
Right.
A small store like this shutting down, it does affect the town, you're saying?
Oh, yes. It's called a convenience store because it's convenient. Now they have to drive. Some people don't have transportation, and it's hard on them. You know what I mean?
Where do you go for groceries?
Well, we go to Clarksdale, Cleveland, and
Clarksdale's what, 20 miles?
13 miles. Trying to get a Dollar General or something going on around here, but
so you guys want the Dollar General?
The Dollar General, by the way, they're trying to get something right in the community. Like Diligent Escape is here. Happy birthday, Melissa! Thank you so much, Diligent Escape. But the Dollar General is going to be full of shit food from China. That's the thing. They're bringing stuff in and it's part of the corporation. It would be awesome if people could grow their own food and sustain, but it's just not there anymore. Nobody can do it. And there's lots of drugs that's funneling in and fentanyl and yikes, all sorts of stuff. But they want the Dollar General. I totally understand. It's something that brings goods and stuff to you. You want life to flow to your town, but it's just sad that a lot of these systems and stores aren't good products, aren't good stuff for you.
General.
Right. We want it.
Okay. They're all over Appalachia. They're all over the South.
I don't understand. It's a 13-mile radius either way.
So
you know what I mean?
Let's talk the general manager of Dollar General. We need to get them here outside Alligator.
Yeah, we want to get them here
on the main road.
I actually spoke to them already, but they haven't gave me any response. They say only thing they say they were checking on it. So
keep at it.
They still want $5,000
for that. For this little lot right here.
Yeah.
You think it's going to happen?
Never, not in my lifetime.
What price would sell that today? 2,000?
Yeah, I would say. I can tell you one thing. It's best to be in a small town. What's going on in the situation we're in, because more in the smaller towns, it's not being recognized. If you had a war, what you think the first thing they're gonna hit? The big cities. These small things, you'll waste your missiles trying to find alligator.
So you're thinking big global conflict.
Exactly.
And you want to be in the small towns?
Exactly.
Okay.
So
have you always thought like that, or that's a new thing?
Well, it made me think like that when the situation we got going on now. You know what I'm saying? Everything is very touchy, and we got hands on.
You guys feel that out here in the countryside?
Yes, we do.
It's like the country and the world is a bit touchy.
We get prepared for it. A lot of us get prepared for it, and we can live off the grid. With power outages.
That's true.
And going out and getting your own food and.
No, if things got really bad, communities like this, I think, are much better off than this. The cities will just be violent.
Silly with chaos.
3 days. All you need is the grid to go down for 3 days, and it's just mayhem.
Yeah. Exactly.
And everyone's killing each other for food.
But here is a big difference.
Here you wouldn't have to, I don't think.
Exactly.
All right.
You wouldn't.
Will you guys let me in, my wife and I, to move here?
We're more than happy for you,
I'll buy that lot. If it gets really bad, I'm in.
Yeah, man, we'll be.
Okay, there you go, guys. That is what I'm gonna kind of end it on. That sort of small town thing where, yeah, I mean, if shit hits the fan, probably would be better off in a smaller area rather than a large area. The people in the large area, they have certain skill sets. They might have tech skill sets. They might have office skill sets. They might have certain intelligence. I'm not saying people in cities are not intelligent. Certainly they are. They have a certain intelligence to cope with things. But if you're in a small town and you're in a rural area and you're facing off the grid stuff, there's people there who will have hunting skill sets. They'll have mechanical skill sets. They'll have building skill sets. They'll have cooking, growing, farming, maybe even garden skill sets that are literally the foundations of life. So it's a really interesting thing to look at in our diet. And that is why we get stuff like Diligent said, I did the Dr. Prepper thing in Missouri for 2 years. What's the prepper? Like prepping for the end? Prepping kind of like homesteading? Yeah, I mean, it's probably, it's a harsher life, but it's probably, I want to say it's probably good. And I haven't even gotten to all the wireless stuff. So start a communal. Yeah, that would be interesting in Missouri. That would be super cool. Let us, Diligent, let us know if you ever do that. Pop a note here up on the channel. Yeah, I haven't even got into how Wi-Fi and technology and electricity, how that might affect us and scramble our brains and how that might eat our health. We don't know if it gives people cancer. We don't know what it does. And the system isn't going to admit to it because it would be lawsuits. Just like, you know what, if you're going to release a vaccine and you don't want people to know about the effects of it and the documentation for 75 years, some shit's up. Okay, if you can't know about what they're giving you for 75 years, they're not giving you anything good because they're going to wait till you dead. That's what that means, okay? So just this whole idea of health is like, because I'm 48, I'm getting older. We're all getting older. Even the young are getting older. And it's about questioning like the whole life we've been geared to live since we're really young is this creepy, crazy system that you start to find out doesn't really care for us. And the bottom line is always profit and control and power and their stockholders or their shareholders or some crazy shit like that. Like, how can they get returns to their shareholders off of our skins? Even the health system, what like, it's literally run like a mafia. There's no transparency. You're told after you get a procedure how much it costs. You can't shop around. I mean, if this is real, if we really live in a capitalist system, we should be able to shop around. There should be transparency on the price of things. Like, come on. It's a crazy system. And the Amish are right. Like I told you at the beginning, they are suspicious of government, schooling, and health. Those are the 3 things that bug them. I'm sure there's more. And those are the stuff the government really target them. And they target them with ridiculous stuff. It should be a human right to be able to have food, water, and shelter and clothing. It should be a human right to be able to have that. And someone shouldn't be, if you are, being healthy and following general rules, they should not be able to take that away from you. But they can, because we live in a Nazi system already. And, they're always pointing the finger at, oh my God, you think the Holocaust is death. And you get shitheads like Douglas Murray. He's like, you're just a Nazi because you question World War II narratives. And meanwhile, we're in a system that runs with the government and the police and the military and the corporations all running together in some kind of secret fashion, pretending they're democracy. And it's literally fascistic. You can't escape the crazy that we're going through now. I don't know how you would escape it. And happy birthday to me. I'm talking about fascists now. I don't have too much more to share to you guys. That's it. Just cheers to me. Cheers to you guys. Having my last couple of sips of wine. I had a wonderful day today. I got to go for a good hike with my doggy. We went to a wonderful dinner yesterday before my husband had to go back out on the road. We had a wonderful dinner at a place called Maddox, small business, local. So it's been a great time. And, I'm not young. I don't want to go partying at a bar anymore. That's the other thing. It's like when we're young, we consider it like almost like a rite of passage to get drunk in a bar for a birthday. And I don't know. I don't think it always was that way. I don't think women, I don't think that was always that way. I think that's modern culture for you. But anyways, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. It's almost been 2 hours. That's why I started a half an hour early, because I had a feeling I'd ramble on about health, about Douglas Murray, about the manipulation in his tactics and questioning people who are not specialists and knocking you down and making you feel like less than Douglas Murray. And that's literally, Douglas Murray is like a metaphor for this whole entire system. I got my notes here. It's like they think they're better and they want to stomp you down with their boots and tell you to shut up, listen to their narratives, on COVID, listen to their stuff on health. If I listened to their stuff on health, I'm telling you, I'd be bloated, fat, unhealthy, and really sick by 48. I already feel more, less energetic than when I was 20. If I had listened to all their stuff and not cut out sugar and taken my health a little bit more serious, I'd be in a wreck. I always talk about this with my son, who just called me. He's got serious health. He's doing the modern stuff and the fast food, and he's suffering. He's suffering with his weight since the COVID shutdown. That's when my son's troubles start holding up. And I always talk to him and tell him, hey, he doesn't listen to me, though. He wants to learn the hard way, because apparently mom's too stupid. But anyways, it doesn't just affect me. It affects all the kids and Gen Z and all these other. They're so used to this system where they just grab their phone, just grab something out, just go out and do something. I'm used to it. I don't know. I think I need to take like a homesteading challenge where I turn everything off for a weekend and just live off the grid as much as I can. I used to do this shit when I was little. I would have pioneer weekends where I'd turn everything off and try to live like they did 100 years ago. I couldn't even have dolls. I had to make like a rag doll. I was a little girl. I used to do stuff like this. I think I need to do it again. I don't know. I might have to look this up. We might have to start a test living off the grid group. Prepare for disaster, or at least prepare to challenge the system, because they're going to come back at us with another COVID system, another emergency, another crazy. They're going to come back at us. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows that they are, guys. So That's all I got to say. Now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm not going to be around. I got some time. I got to do tons of yard work. I got tons of stuff that I have to get done. Thursday night, I know most of you are American that listen to my show, but I'm going to be live streaming the Canadian debates. Thursday night, I believe it's 7:30 Eastern they start, but I'll post all the links. You'll see it up on the YouTube, the Rumble, and it will come on X. It's in English. Wednesday, they do the French version. Thursday, they're doing the English version. And since I am not bilingual and I did not grow up, they made me take French classes in Canada, but I am English-speaking Canadian. We are going to do the English version on Thursday night, and I believe it starts at 8 p.m. Eastern, so we're going to go a half an hour early. I will have the links, and you will see when it will start. We'll get done, and we'll just make fun of Mark Carney and all the lunatics. And if Canada votes Liberal again, the CIA experiment, guys. It is proof. It is proof of the CIA experiment. I'm going to play it one more time before we go. Oh, and check out that guy's channel. You guys can't miss it. It is called Peter Santinello. Peter Santinello. His channel. Check out his channel. I put a link in the comments there for you guys. I should put one over on Rumble. You check it out. He's got some amazing videos from all over America in these poor communities. But I just want to remind you, if you didn't catch it the first time, I want to play that Candace video again. Because this is what they're doing to us all the time. You have to remember this experiment. You have to remember it.
So true story. The CIA, back in the day, did this experiment where they placed 18 people in a room. 17 of those people were actually CIA agents, and one of them was just an unwitting member of the public. So the person that was running the experiment showed every single person in the room a picture of a triangle. And he asked every person in the room to simply state what they saw on the picture. All of the agents were instructed to say square. So imagine you're in this room with 17 other people. You think that you're all off the side of the street, and they start going around. Everyone says, oh, what is that? A square. A square. What do you see? A square, a square, a square, a square. Well, by the time it gets to you, and you're the 18th person, you're going, oh, am I crazy? I see a triangle. And guess what that 18th person said? Well, they said square, because they didn't want to be the crazy person in the room. That is exactly how the media works. Trust your gut. Your gut is God-given. So true story. The CIA.
There you go. I just wanted to remind you of that. I'm going to give you guys the link to that because you need to remember that this is what they're doing to us all the time. This one experiment, this is how they know how to fuck us up. This is how they know it, you guys. This is how they know it. And it is important to know that one CIA experiment. All right, guys, remember you can go and follow on genxonx.com. If you want to support the show and you want to give me a one-time little donation, because I don't like pitching products and all that stuff. Not right now anyways. I have nothing that I'd be like, yeah, take this, pitch this. Let's do this. We got 3 ways you can just donate. I mean, you can either subscribe on the X, but you can also donate on PayPal. There's our little QR link. I got 3 ways because I know some of you have different things. So you can do the QR. You can also go to Venmo. We got a little QR code right beside me there. I'll point it over there. Venmo. You can also go to Cash App and you can donate there and say, happy birthday, Melissa. Now, if you want to just get those links quick, just go to genxonx.com. All those links are right there. It's just down at the bottom there. genxonx.com, the Venmo, the PayPal, the Cash App links. They're just right there on the banner. You can click to them, go. Give a little donation to the show. Help keep it going. And I will be here on Thursday. And then we're going to resume normal stuff. April 23rd, I got a Dr. Dean Bertram coming on talking about UFOs. I want to do more homesteading stuff and survival shit. I really wish my husband had the ability to come and do podcasts with me and talk about this, because I'm sure he has some really good ideas and stuff like that. But I always take his brain. He had stuff on the Amish that I think I missed, the videos and stuff that I don't think I got and I couldn't find. But the Amish thing is so important, and what they're doing to us. We can see them attacking the Amish because they don't want us to be healthy. They want us to be in their fucked up, crazy system. And that's kind of depressing on your birthday, but I'm going to go have fun. I'm going to talk to my son, talk to my husband, and enjoy being 48 and enjoying the privilege of getting old, because not everybody gets that privilege, as we know, with all the crazy stuff that's happening right now. Apparently Ian Carroll is hosting the show for Candace during her maternity leave. Woo! I'm excited. I can't wait. Okay, you guys, we got to show up for Ian Carroll on the Candace show. Anyways, you guys, I'm going to take off here. I'm going to tune out. Join me Thursday for the Canadian. Do I have a Discord server? No, I don't, but we should all do one. I never have trouble. I'm so hermity. Nobody wants to follow me. I opened one and nobody ever joins it. It's like nobody likes me. I feel like nobody likes me on Discord. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have to do that. I don't know what we'll do. That they find you anywhere. They find you guys. They find us everywhere. My husband says, "Do not comply." We'll have to look in the Discord server. If anybody here has a Discord server and they want everybody to go on there, show up Thursday, post a link. Maybe we'll all join a Discord server and be homesteaders or us or some shit like that. Anyways, I'm going to go. Thank you guys so much for joining. genxonx.com. Check out the website. You can donate. You can look at the shows. You can look at the podcast and the audio. I will be back on Thursday after I do all my yard work and cleaning cars and gardening and prepping and spring stuff. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.